In the dead of night in Georgia, Michael and Russell, both former Navy SEALs, are planning their next heist with Russell's ex-cop brother, Gabe. Their target is a safe deposit box at a bank that holds critical information about a Jewish-Russian mafia boss, and they agree that corrupt officers will be essential for their plan. Later, they meet with officers Marcus and Franco to formulate their strategy. Meanwhile, Russian crime boss Irina is with her henchmen, who have brought their latest victims in the trunk of their car. The victims have clearly been tortured, and one of the henchmen presents Irina with a bag full of their teeth, which is then discarded into the trunk before it is locked. 2 weeks later, the gang is preparing their weapons and masks in a van driven by Russell. He parks around the corner, and the other four rush into the bank, firing into the air and subduing the guards. With the alarms blaring, they have only 3 minutes to complete the heist before the police arrive. Gabe spots the bank manager attempting to flee and apprehends him. They show him disturbing photos of his home and family to coerce his cooperation. They lead him to the vault, where he inputs the lock number. As he begins unlocking it, Michael pushes him aside to open the box himself. Gabe takes some nearby cash before they leave with the box. As they exit, they lock the vault door and toss the keys to the manager. Gabe is the first to escape to a car while Russell, tapping into the police scanner, directs him on the best route to take. The other three emerge from the bank, and Michael deploys 2 flashbang grenades at the door, causing the bank's patrons to scramble for cover in the vault. The trio joins Gabe in the car, and they drive off with Russell guiding them over the radio. Their escape takes a turn when a security die pack in the money explodes, filling the car with red smoke and impeding their visibility. In the chaos, they collide with another vehicle, causing an accident that blocks the road and leaves Russell behind. The thieves exit the car and open fire to disperse the crowd, hitting a stubborn individual who refuses to leave. Russell, observing from a distance, sees a wounded woman, complicating their plans. They steal a new vehicle, rig the old one with a bomb, and leave before it detonates. The police soon arrive, and Russell departs as well. The group then discards all evidence in the car in a secluded area. Marcus and Franco reprimand Gabe for taking the money, which was obviously bait with dye. Franco even brandishes his gun during the argument, but Michael threatens him into putting it away. Afterward, they destroy the escape car by shooting its gas tank and setting it on fire. Michael later visits a meatpacking plant where Irina's men are transporting their victims in meat trucks. He delivers the stolen box to complete their assignment. Meanwhile, Detective Allen visits the bank to investigate the robbery and chastises the manager for his social media habits. At the same time, Allen's nephew Chris, a former Marine, starts his first day at the station. Marcus notices some dye on Chris's shoe and pants and complains about being paired with him. They patrol the town but handle only minor issues, like a woman's public indecency. In his apartment, Michael uses a burner phone to arrange a meeting with Franco in 2 days before destroying the SIM card. He then heads to the meat plant, where Irina's men frisk him before allowing him to see her. Her nephew Felix runs to hug Michael, revealing that he is Michael's son. Michael expects to be paid for the heist, but Irina reveals that there is another job to complete first. When Michael hesitates, Irina threatens to prevent him from seeing Felix again. As Irina details the new mission, Michael notices a room full of federal agents, raising his concerns. Later, Irina calls her husband, the Jewish-Russian mafia boss, who is imprisoned in Russia. He insists that Michael must take on the new job and suggests that Irina should harm Michael if necessary. That night, Michael calls Russell urgently to arrange a meeting. When Russell heads to his car, Irina's enforcer suffocates him with a plastic bag. Franco, Gabe, Michael, and Marcus convene and argue about Irina's failure to pay and the federal agents Michael observed. They witness Russell's car crashing into a wall and find him badly injured. Gabe struggles to control his anger while Michael ends Russell's suffering. Michael tries calling Irina through Elena's phone, but both women refuse to answer. Meanwhile, Alan and Detective Trina review robbery footage, noting that some of the thieves have military training. The next morning, the group plans their next heist at the Department of Homeland Security, requiring at least 10 minutes, which is challenging given the police response time of 3 minutes. Franco proposes a 999 strategy, involving the murder of a police officer to redirect all police resources to the scene. Marcus dislikes the idea of killing an officer, but Franco is enthusiastic, and they reluctantly agree to proceed. Later, Marcus and Chris are called to a murder scene involving a burning car and severed heads. Franco, treating Chris as a rookie, is proven wrong when Chris translates a threat on the glass. Chris then interrogates gang members, arresting Luis after a confrontation. Marcus, furious over Chris's actions, scolds him, and Elena brings Felix for a scheduled visit to Michael's home. Michael suspects Irina's interference and, the following day, drops Felix at Irina's while confronting her about Russell's death. Irina remains unfazed and insists Michael complete his task. During a sauna meeting with the group, Marcus proposes targeting Chris, knowing Alan would mobilize the entire department for his nephew. Gabe, uncomfortable with the plan, pleads for a change but is pushed out of the car by Michael, who asserts there's no alternative. The next day, Alan meets with a contact in the illicit business, who reveals that Leah, a working girl, had inadvertently disclosed that her boyfriend had committed a bank robbery. Marcus and Chris then enter the gang's territory, where Marcus gathers intelligence while Chris attempts to dissuade local teens from gang life. Later, they follow a suspect named Termite, who disguises illegal drugs as a baby in a carriage. When Chris and a team raid Termite's apartment, Termite fires at them from a window. The officers return fire and breach the apartment, finding Termite's baby and illegal goods but no sign of Termite himself. Termite escapes but is pursued by the cops. During the chase, other gang members, including Luis, assist Termite, leading to a violent gunfight with broken car windows. Termite, who appears to have a second gun, shoots Chris, who returns fire and ultimately kills Termite. Marcus, arriving too late to prevent Termite's escape, finds Chris, who is unharmed thanks to his bulletproof vest. As Marcus and Chris confront Termite, Chris shoots him in the head, and Marcus, frustrated, shoots him again. Termite's death incites a town riot, necessitating additional police intervention. Michael meets Irina at a restaurant, expecting to see Felix but is told he's not coming. Irina hands him her phone, allowing a brief conversation with Felix before ending the call. Irina, asserting her control, informs Michael of the details for the Homeland security heist and the timeline, with Felix's vacation length dependent on the job's success. Meanwhile, Gabe's grief over his brother's death worsens his addiction, and he frequents Leah's company. Chris and Marcus visit a naughty club, where Gabe confronts Marcus, leading to a violent altercation. Gabe, protesting the plan, is beaten by Marcus, who is angered by Gabe's complaints. Chris, suspicious, demands an explanation, and Marcus claims Gabe was merely a source. Alan investigates Leah's house, finding powder and learning Gabe's history as a dismissed cop. He sets up a sting operation to catch Leah buying more drugs, leading to her divulging Gabe's whereabouts. Trina follows Gabe to Chris's house and informs Alan, who calls for backup. Gabe, aware of the police closing in, flees over a fence. Alan checks on Chris's family, showing them Gabe's photo, and learns about Russell's connection to arms smuggling with the Russian mafia, linking them to Irina. Franco eventually contacts Michael, asking him to deal with Gabe, who is under surveillance. Gabe, hiding in a hotel, receives a photo of a wounded Leah and learns Michael has kidnapped her. Michael threatens to kill Leah if Gabe doesn't leave town immediately. Gabe, terrified, agrees to leave, and Michael destroys the phone. The next day, Alan discovers Gabe's disappearance, Michael's absence, and the court's denial of a warrant against Irina, leading to frustration. Franco and Michael wait outside Homeland security. Marcus takes Chris to an abandoned building for an informant meeting, but Chris loses sight of Marcus. Luis enters, gun in hand, and Marcus, in a guilt-induced breakdown, hides. Chris finds Gabe, who tries to explain the plan, but Luis's arrival forces Chris to take cover. Luis escapes after a shootout, leaving Gabe critically injured. Chris calls for backup and gets Marcus's attention. Marcus arrives, ready to kill both Gabe and Chris, leading to a deadly shootout between Marcus and Gabe. Chris finishes Gabe off and checks on Marcus, who is gravely wounded. Chris then announces a 999 to the station. Michael and Franco, alerted by the 999, proceed with their heist. They shoot the guard at Homeland Security's entrance, tie him up, and enter using Irina's password. They neutralize 2 more guards with electric shotgun shells and set up explosives. Alan, receiving news of the robbery, prioritizes Chris's safety, coordinating backup. The heist unfolds as planned until Michael is confronted by Irina. They have a tense standoff, and Michael ultimately kills her, ensuring Felix's safety. The team retrieves crucial documents and exits just as the police swarm the building. Michael and Franco escape with their haul, leaving behind a chaotic scene. Chris, recovering from his injuries, receives a commendation for his bravery and intelligence during the heist investigation. Evening, Michael meets Irina and hands over the stolen box, which she opens using a key stolen from the bank. Michael demands to see his son and yells at her, causing her guards to react. He punches one man down and checks the car, finding it empty. Another guard knocks Michael down, steps on his hand, and fires a gun near his ear, temporarily deafening him. Irina admits she really wants to kill Michael but can't because Elena and Felix would never forgive her. She offers him the money and orders him to leave, forbidding him from seeing Felix again. Michael brought a gift for the boy, and Irina agrees to give it to Felix as a farewell present from his father. After she and her men drive away, Michael activates the final explosive hidden in the toy, causing Irina's car to explode. He drives past the burning vehicle to ensure everyone is dead. At the hospital, a fellow officer informs Chris that Luis was killed by SWAT. Chris visits the morgue to examine Luis' belongings and finds a note with the address and time of the abandoned building, concluding Luis had been there to kill him. Moments later, Michael is pulled over by a cop, but it turns out to be Franco. Michael confirms that Irina finally paid them, and Franco explains Marcus is alive but promises to kill him just like he did Leah. Suddenly, Franco pulls out his gun and shoots Michael 3 times, killing him and taking all the money for himself. The next day, Chris investigates the gang's neighborhood and learns Marcus was seen talking to Luis on the day he was shot. Chris then meets with Alan and theorizes that Marcus set him up to be killed. Alan agrees but points out that they lack proof and can't take action. Later, Alan receives a call informing him that Leah's body has been found. He tells Chris and shares his new theory: a corrupt cop is eliminating evidence. Alan instructs Trina to check the records to identify the officer who found Leah's body. Meanwhile, Chris visits Marcus in the hospital, insulting him before Franco arrives and informs Chris they need a full statement at the precinct. As they enter the elevator, Chris receives a call from Alan, who warns him that Franco is dirty. Chris pretends the call is from his wife and quickly hangs up. When they reach the parking lot, they split to get to their cars. Franco finds a tie hanging from his mirror and Alan in the back seat. Both men draw their guns and shoot simultaneously. Franco dies instantly, while Alan is heavily wounded. Chris hears the gunshots and makes a call while Alan smokes a cigarette, leaving it unclear whether he bleeds out or not.